Good evening, welcome to Live from Prairie Lights. I'm Lindsay Park. Tonight we're pleased to welcome Oliver Bendorf back to Iowa City. His new book of poetry, The Spectral Wilderness, which was published by Kent State University Press and selected by Mark Doty for the 2013 Wick Poetry Prize, was just named to Entropy Magazine's Best Poetry Books of 2014 list this week. Mark Doty says, "It's a joy to come near to a realm of experience little explored in American poetry, the lives of those who are engaged in the complex project of transforming their own gender. Oliver Bendorf writes from a paradoxical, new world position, the adult voice of a man who has just appeared in the world, a man emergent, a man in love, alive in the fluid instability of any category." Oliver Bendorf's poems have been published in Blackbird, Indiana Review, Jubilat, and elsewhere, and anthologized in Best New Poets and Troubling the Line, Trans and Genderqueer Poetry and Poetics. He has received fellowships from University of Wisconsin-Madison, Lambda Literary Foundation, and Vermont Studio Center, and the 2013 Doug Fir Fiction Award. Born and raised in Iowa City, Oliver earned a BA from the University of Iowa and an MFA in poetry from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he is now an MA candidate in Library and Information Studies. We're so pleased to have him here tonight. Let's welcome Oliver Bendorf.
Thanks, Lindsay, and thank you, all of you, for being here. I drove down from Madison just this afternoon, where I'm living now, and I was thinking about all of the time that I must have spent over the course of my life in Prairie Lights. Starting downstairs in the children's room, there were these blank hardcover books. The inside was blank, and the covers were blank, and I loved them so much, and I don't even remember filling them with anything. I just remember like sitting next to where they were on the shelf and like really enjoying them. And I did my undergrad here too, and I spent a lot of time in here then. And when I come back now, which is usually shorter visits than I would like, I always find time to stop in here. So it's really meaningful after all of these years and different places to be back here in front of a lot of people that from a lot of different parts of my life. I wrote these poems between 2010 and 2013. And as Lindsay said, the book just came out. But the first thing that I did the first poem I wrote after I saw this book was write kind of a field guide for this book. And I've been thinking about the feasibility of adding this poem to every copy of the book that exists. So if you leave here with a copy that has a random piece of paper in it, you'll know why. So I'm going to start with this poem, even though it's not in the book, because I think of it as a kind of my way of welcoming you and introducing you to this spectral wilderness that we will get lost in together for about a half an hour. Field Guide to the Spectral Wilderness. When you arrive, it must be morning. The light must blue over triangles of tree line. There must be fields of corn, and there must be coroners mistaking elbow joints for knee bones. There must be a trail through the woods at Possum Hollow, and there must be the skull of a possum still lodged in the trunk of a tree. There must be a tree. There must be the slightest hint of danger. There must be corners neatly tucked. There must be red the color of a puppy's tongue. There must be pleasure, whether strapped or stolen. And there must be ice. There must always, 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 always be ice. There must be a way to feel our way toward the water and light from this darkness. There must be a fire. There must be a little candle thing that makes the bells go round. There must be a girl. There has always been a girl. There must be a boy. There has always been a boy. There must be a sharps container. There has never been a man, but there must now be a man, not because one is needed, but because one isn't. There must be a ghost. They must be hungry. There must be a tiny meal, and then there must be the best kind of love. There must be pine needles. There must be paper cuts, a punchline, a burial. There must be a way to fall asleep beside the dead coyote and not wake up wearing its fur. There must be a horseman. There must be someone around here who remembers the voice of the girl. It isn't me, but it must be me. There must be daylight. There must be a yellow house. There must be a window, a ladder, a compass. We must have new names. There must be a boy and a girl, and we must have new names. There must be a boy and there must be a girl. There must be. There must be. There must be someone looking for us by now. They must wonder where we are. I never start with this poem, but I've never read from this book in Iowa before, so I'm going to start with this poem, which is called Outing Iowa. And when I wrote this book, I was in the middle of moving across the country when I first started writing this book, and also over the course of when I wrote this book, transitioning genders. So I was thinking a lot about bodies changing and places changing, and sort of what stays the same when some things change. So, Outing Iowa. If you've ever doubted that a body can transform completely, take the highway north from town, past the crowded diner with the neon sign for pork loin sandwiches, and go left at the arrow for the lake. Can I tell you, the land where I was born an ocean, and that ocean born of ice. Researchers and floodplains have undressed its chipped-up secret. Plates shifted, glaciers melted into river, into rows of corn that flipbook past your car. Park anywhere and follow the trail back in time toward the effigy mounds, the sacred piles of earth we've managed to preserve, and all that's buried underneath. I still bleed, still weep. What we used to be matters. Here's a brachiopod. Here's me twirling in a gauzy blue dress in the afternoon sun. Trace these fossils with your tongue and place them in my hands, which will never be any larger. Lay your ear against an iceberg while there's time and sing to me its trickle. Lift a geode from the ground and crack me open. I'll sparkle so hard you'll forget you thought this land was flat. As though you'd never find the valley, bedrock, ancient sea. I don't think Jonesy's is there anymore, is it? No. Places change. All right. I promised her my hands wouldn't get any larger, but she's decided we need to trace them in case I turn out to be wrong. Every morning she wakes me with a sheet of paper. In the beginning, she stowed all the tracings in a folder until one day I said, I'd like to at least see where this is going. And from that point on, we hung them on the wall, chronologically. When I study them, they look back at me like busted headlights. I wear my lab coat around the house to make sure they know who's observing whom. If we can ensure records, if we can be diligent in our testing. I wrap my fingers around her wrists. Nothing feels smaller yet. Not her, not the kettle, nor the key. If my hands do grow, they should also be the kind that can start a fire with just a deer in the road. Guys okay? I think am I okay is what I wanted to ask. I am okay. This next one has an epigraph from Judith Butler. I was an English major here, but I was a minor in what was then women's studies and what is now, I understand, gender, women's, and sexuality studies. And so Judith Butler is one of the theorists that stuck with me, and this particular quote kind of came back to me when I was writing this book. And the quote is, one might consider that identification is always an ambivalent process. Split it open just to count the pieces. Call me tumblefish, rip-roar, pocket of light, haberdash and milkman, velveteen and silver breath, your bitch, your little brother, ponderosa pine, almanac and crab shack and dandelion weed. Call me babyface, kidege, little bird or little plane, thorn of rose and loaded gun, a pile of walnut shells, egg whites and sandpaper, crown of Gabriel, hand-rolled sea. Call me cobblestone and half pint, your Spanish red brick empire. Call me Panic and Orion, Pinocchio and Buttercream, Salt Lick, Shooting Star, August Peach and Hurricane. Call me Giddy Up and Tarzan, Riot Boy and Monk, Flavor Trip and Soldier and Departure. Call me Eiffel Tower, Arrondissement, Le Garçon. Call me the cigarette tossed near the leak of gasoline. Call me and tell me that Paris is on fire at last, that the queens of Harlem can have their operations and their washing machines. Call me seamless, call me sir, call me tomorrow's inevitable sunrise. One thing that happened when I moved to Wisconsin was that there were suddenly a lot more spiders in my life. Like, a lot of things between Iowa and Wisconsin are the same, but the number of spiders is really, there's a lot of them. And so they started showing up in my poems also. This one is called "The Doctor Told Me the Shots Would Make Me Spin Silk." Along with muscling out my shoulders and dropping my voice, they'd let me hang by my own fibers, invade distant islands with my gossamer webs. If I didn't want to ask for directions, I could leave a trail of silk by which to find my way back. Along with narrowed hips, caught flies. Along with increased sex drive, anchors. The doctor said my silk would be as strong as high-grade steel in 6 months flat, that man would not be right. I might covet my neighbor's grill, and I'd still burn toast every time, but spiders would begin to read me as themselves and expect certain things. Humans prone to arachnophobia would come at me with wads of newspapers, even a vacuum, while I dangle in my own abode. Do you understand? The doctor asks. Do you still consent to the shots? Yes, I say, comes with the territory. I already know what I will want to catch. So Sylvester Graham, who is the namesake of graham crackers, also wrote lectures on boyhood, and specifically about chastity in boys and how to be a good pure boy. Anyway, in 1834, this is what he had to say as advice for boys: they should never sleep on feathers. And this poem is called "The Manliest Mattress." The first Saturday of summer, I walk in the mattress store and say, "I want your manliest mattress." They sell me a wooden box in mattress dimensions. The first 2 nights, my back feels incredible. When I wake up after the 3rd night, though, I realize I can't sit up. From my lying down position, I call the mattress store and explain my predicament. The mattress they sold me is no mattress at all. But before they can respond, everyone I know falls through the sky below me, including the mattress salesman. I say, "I'm sorry, I take back what I said," but it's too late. The line is dead. I disassemble the wooden box and lay out the pieces in front of me like a miniature lumber yard. I start learning how to build something. I spent a summer in Vermont, maybe 2 summers ago, reading a lot in a field in a camping chair. It was awesome. And one of the books that I was reading was like an old book of farm equipment. And I came across one piece of equipment called a wagon jack, which is basically just like a car jack, but for wagons. But I liked the name of it, and sort of started thinking about this character named Wagon Jack. Wagon Jack. Some days I wake up Wagon Jack. In the mirror, in the shower, I am man, my jaws the texture of steel wool. Nurse of my imaginary, make me soft forever. In my childhood bedroom I am 6, with scissors to my hair, studying headshots of Elvis to get the sideburns right. I'm working on them now. Wagon Jack, become me faster, lower my voice like the wrong end of a hose. In the city, I sit cross-legged on a bench, rubbing balm across my chest. When I call out, all my friends are there. Our glitter tongues tongue whatever they want. Our tears taste better than a spring, and kindness looks like itself. My own hands wake me in the night, and my ears train on the silence. There are no scars, there is no bench. I am back at the farm, my girl sound asleep right beside me. Knife that cuts straight through me, take my distress, too. I am marching on, 50 animals to feed, 100 kingdoms to plan, sun is shining. Outside, the goats are banded, to be boys forever. In the Timothy next to the creek, Wagon Jack grabs his hands, which are also mine, and together we feel for new veins. I get what I wanted, soft forever, diligent records, love, even a pine cone on my head. My situation looks pretty good. 3 baby goats and a girl who says we will drink only good tequila to stay current only in our own events. I learn more every day about what kind of boy to be, how to make my words fall gently like smoke rings or silk. Big eyes, even when I sleep. Wagon Jack tells me a pine cone is a charm against the bad. Let's find out. Isn't this the best? I'm not tired yet. This must be the best. There's a co-op in Madison. There's a co-op here too. So I'm gonna read this one, and maybe if you spend time in cooperative grocery stores, you will I don't know, find something in this that is familiar. Cooperative. When I call your name from across the bulk aisle, I like to whisper scream it as loud as I can. 1 pound of agave ginger cashews is a decision to let go of resentment and thoughts of revenge. Jasmine brown rice is the weapon you love me with. In the deli, I bogart the sample cups. This is my way. When I whisper your name, it is like a scream within the whisper spectrum. I make up my mind regarding letting go of resentment and revenge. I do not want to donate, do not want to attend the ravioli demonstration, want only to select my tender type, which is you. Find me in the snack aisle and massage my jaw. Everyone will have to reach around us to get to their dried snap pea crisps and revolutionary chocolate. I like to count how many days in a row they serve the vegan mac and cheese. I like to watch it shrivel in the tin pan. The comment box is the exact size and shape of my feelings tonight, right down to the weird curly tail of, after all this, desire. All right, I'll read a few more. Kindness not for anything. I think I must have been reading Gertrude Stein the day that I wrote this one. Kindness brings softness, and softness brings a 3-legged clover, brings 3 fields of clover, and I want to have them all. My want wants them all. My want is a giant balloon, and it's spelled ah. My want goes ah. Ah is a soft thing, a very hard to get to thing, and it makes you go ah. Makes all the birds go ah. What is luck if not for love, a very bright beluga? What is love for? It's not for anything. We love it just the same. Another thing, in addition to spiders, that started happening to my life and thus to my poems when I moved to Wisconsin was like snow and ice and just like general like chill. And when I wrote this next poem, it was in the middle of like this winter in Wisconsin, in Madison, that felt like it would never end. It did. Then now we're coming up on another one. That's what we get for surviving each one. Another one. Love and the Bodega. Love went to the Bodega and said, "Look, both of us are products of the cold night air. We could get together at dew point. I'll call you any funny thing." The Bodega said, "Love, I am in contact with a freezing surface. A freezing cold surface is in touch with me." Love scattered the Bodega's molecules thoroughly. In the street, pieces of Bodega strewn quite randomly. Some pieces ended up in the lapidary looking like stones. Some pieces blew through the wall of the old dog kennel. And everyone who worked at the record store was pissed because who wants, at minimum wage, to have to pick Bodega chunks out of the bluegrass bin? Love does, that's who. The Bodega took it easy in pieces in the blue jean pocket of Love. In a chorus of whispers, the Bodega said, "Love, I'm going to send you in a straight line to the sky. I'm going to reach you from all parts of it." How am I doing on time?
7:20.
Great. Okay. Inventory. They said there would be spiders, and there are. Cobwebs appear in my home like apparitions, ghosts of a heaven they said there would be. And I have found good people here, and even fewer ways to feel alone. Here where the tundra swans make their layover from the Arctic. I hiked to them after the limnologists announced their arrival. Afterward, a friend thought I said tender swans, not tundra. And the truth is, I couldn't say either way. Were they tender? I have no carnivorous sense of humor, but I have been prone to talking about the heart, I admit, which they said would be broken on arrival, though it is not broken now, not anymore. I like to see the white glue in places. I have lately devoted hours of myself to learning how quickly a crayon will break between my fingers, and it doesn't take long, but God, it feels good to treat my brain to cerulean, scarlet, tangerine, and red, for it has snowed 5 days in a row, and everything I see is white, white, white. And I have decided, with regard to the swans, that they were tender, like a snowplow, or warm breath on a frostbitten hand. I think this might be the last poem I read. Thank you again so much for coming. It's really amazing to be reading to such special people, the ones that I know and the ones I don't. I'm sure you are also special. And thank you to Prairie Lights for hosting me here. It has been a lifelong dream, really. I'm sure that when I was an infant, this was my dream, even if I wasn't aware of it yet. I'm sure of that. Take care. Sometimes I mistake the sound of my voice for a rubber tire on the shoulder of the road. I mistake my shoulder for an angle formed by two lines coming together in geometry. I mistake geometry for the way that mothers are the holy, holy, holiest of holes in the heart, and I mistake holy for a dried up plant rolled into the pages of someone else's vision. I am just as full of shit as everyone, including you. And I mistake my fullness for abeyance, mistake suspension for an early spring rabbit hiding frozen in the road. I am not the spring rabbit, I know, but it's easy to mistake my ears for tambourines. I am good at them without expending any effort. Once, I mistook the tart infatuation of a kumquat for another seedless calamity. I mistake seeds for nothing all the time. I mistake time for space, space for freedom, sparkles in the alley for a sign that our universe is sentient, after all, and loving, and will take care of those of us who pray, however mistakenly, not on our knees exactly, but with our hands clasped, that we may be mistaken for believers. I mistake my hands for belief all the time. I keep waking up expecting them to be someone else's, but so far they're only mine, and when I mistake distance for absence, I tend to go astray. Like when I can't tell if someone is walking away from me or toward me until it's too late in either direction. I wonder whether coroners mistake knees for elbows, the way my love loses track of left and right. There are times, or should I say spaces, in which I mistake fire for work gloves, which is almost always a mistake, and vice versa. I want a compass. I need deliverance. Good God, take me, mistake me back to the soft shoulder, which I mistake so often for the road itself. Thank you so much.